Hello, my name is Chris Gayner. I'm the Director of Labs for Symphony Ventures, and in this video series we're looking to unpack some of the practical realities of intelligent automation, right from process automation up to machine learning. The previous video we discussed some of the market trends, some of the core questions being asked by enterprises around what happens when these tools are actually unleashed onto the business at large, how's innovation managed, and equally how are risks around ethics, legal and consumer impact, how does that start to influence some of these decisions. In this video, we're going to start to explore some of the practical realities of AI as a concept, what it is, how we should think about it before we start unpacking the tools and technologies that sit underneath it. The best way to think about this is actually in the context of a very recent announcement by Google, Google's Duplex to be precise, is a piece of AI that could, in essence, have a human-like conversation using AI. For anyone who missed the video, I'll quickly play it here, then explain what's going on.
So how can I help you?
Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd.
Sure, give me 1 second. Sure, what time are you looking for around?
At 12 p.m.
We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15.
Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.?
Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for?
Just a woman's haircut for now.
Okay, we have a 10 o'clock.
10 a.m. is fine.
Okay, what's her first name?
The first name is Lisa.
Okay, perfect. So I will see Lisa at 10 o'clock on May 3rd.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Great. Have a great day. Bye.
The video naturally raises a bunch of questions around ethics and legalities around having a machine not identify itself before engaging with a human in a human-like conversation. Naturally, this was a PR stunt for Google, moving from its Google Research brand to AI, Google AI. But equally, it divided audiences from the technical community who thought this was great, right to the ethical and the activist community who said this can't really run in the way it is, and so Google have come back with a response to that. What I wanted to do is not focus so much on the ethics and the legalities of this tool, but actually start to unpick what this tool is doing. And whilst it's very sophisticated and complex in actually making this call and having a conversation with a human, it's actually an expert system, and which means it's very good at doing this, as I said. But actually, if you apply this piece of technology or even this process to, say, a stockbroker and ask them to get your portfolio, the video naturally highlights some major ethical and legal issues, which Google have since come back. But we have to appreciate this is part of, in my opinion, a PR stunt by Google as it rebrands from Google Research to Google AI. The tool itself is very complex, it's very sophisticated in what it's doing. It's having a conversation with a human, and if you put that in perspective, that it is a machine, and machines operate in zeros and ones, that is very sophisticated. Now, what we have to understand is this is an expert machine. It is an expert system doing something very sophisticated but very narrow. And this is what's commonly called narrow AI. It's doing something within a very defined scope of application. So if we had this machine or the system actually try to make a phone call to a trader or a stockbroker and ask for an update on our portfolio, it fundamentally would fail because it hasn't been asked or it hasn't been trained to navigate through that conversation, where here it has been trained, and I'm sure there's some clever coding in the back end to make it work like AI, but fundamentally it's very limited in its application, hence the term narrow AI. Now, if we think about the concept of AI, this is moving from a machine thinking in zeros and ones to more human-like processing of information and data, and this is all about humans' ability to infer from the world around us. Now, I'll play this video in the background while I carry on talking. This second video is by an artist and a researcher called Mimo Acton. Mimo has been exploring how machines can not only create, so this is a machine-created piece of visual here, but equally how can they actually see what's happening on screen. As I said, humans are expert inference machines. We can take a concept in field A and actually quickly apply it to field B, C, Z without too much additional training. This is because we've been programmed over billions and billions of years to identify predators from friends, food from objects. Machines haven't had that evolution yet, and we're having to hard code, in essence, human human nature into these machines. So what you're seeing on screen here is that initially it looks a bit like flames, it didn't look like much. As the video starts to play out, as a human, we're able to recognize some very core things happening here, specifically around shapes, patterns, and a very human-like figure is starting to emerge from these flames. As humans, we're quickly able to identify this is a person and a person dancing. A machine fundamentally couldn't do what we've just done in a matter of seconds. A machine would have to learn what a human looked like, then what a human silhouette would look like, then how flames act, and then what the background's doing, and a very complex array of lessons, training, data would have to go into this machine to know what we have just seen in seconds. And so that's something to keep in mind here as we go through this video series. Is machines are very good at the moment at doing very niche things in a very expert way. However, if we start to look to apply these to other concepts, or even start to introduce more human ways of working and looking at the world, the machines start to fall down. And so, excuse me. And so what we have to understand here is as it applies to the enterprise, there's a lot of tinkering going. A lot of people in labs, or a lot of people in R&D functions are out there building this. They're trying to understand how this stuff works, let alone how it starts to solve business problems. And fundamentally, Jeff Goldblum, I couldn't have summed it up better. Jeff Goldblum's character in Jurassic Park, he's a chaos theorist, and he suggested that actually, when asked, what do you think of the dinosaur park, he said, your scientists were so preoccupied with whether they could do something, they didn't stop to think whether they should. And that's a little bit what's happening in the current market. There's a lot of hype, there's a lot of discussion around these tools and what they're capable of. Fundamentally, we have to realize this is another piece of technology in a digital operations toolkit. This is a piece of tool that we need to consider as part of a solution set or a stack against business problems. And fundamentally, that's where we have to start our journey. Isn't with the tools and technologies, but rather with the business problems. The question, of course, is, well, how do we start to look at these tools and technologies without understanding what they are and what they can do? So I'll leave the video there with the framework of AI as an expert system as it exists today, humans as expert inference machines, and the question, okay, so we understand what it is, a tool and it's a system. Fundamentally, how do we start to unpick what it is, what it does, and how do we group these opportunities together? And we'll explore that in the next video. Thank you.